Most people don't know when they are running out of time. I do. My name is Samuel Hart, and I am 99 years old. And this may be the last chance I have to tell you what I learned before it is too late for you.
When you reach my age, the future disappears quietly. There are no long plans, no distant dreams, just mornings you are grateful to wake up to, and evenings you are surprised you made it through. I was not always this aware of time. In fact, for most of my life, I behaved as if it were endless, as if the clock on the wall was a decoration and not a warning. I was born in 1927 in a small wooden house at the edge of a farming town. We did not have much, but as a boy, I never felt poor. We had land, we had food, and we had each other. My father was a quiet man who believed that love was proven through work. He woke before sunrise and came home after dark, his hands cracked and bleeding in winter, sunburned in summer. My mother spoke gently but carried a strength that held our family together. Back then, life felt solid and permanent. I believed the people around me would always be there. The first time I understood that nothing is permanent was the day my older brother did not come home. An accident in the fields. One moment he was laughing at breakfast. The next, he was gone. I was 12 years old, and I remember watching my father sit at the kitchen table long after everyone else had gone to bed. He stared at the wall as if he were trying to understand a language he had never learned. That was the first crack in my illusion of forever. But youth has a way of repairing illusions quickly. By the time I was 20, I was strong, ambitious, and impatient. I left home to find work in the city. I told myself I would send money back, visit often, make my parents proud. I truly believed there would be plenty of time to do all of that. The city moved fast, and I let it carry me. I worked in a factory during the day and took night classes, determined to become someone important. I measured my worth in promotions and pay raises. When I met the woman who would become my wife, her name was Eleanor. I almost missed her because I was too focused on the next step in my career. She was patient with me in a way I did not deserve. She saw something steady in me, even when I was restless. We married when I was 28. I promised her a good life, and in many ways I gave it to her. We bought a small house. We had 2 children, a son and a daughter. There were birthdays, school plays, summer picnics. If you looked at photographs from that time, you would see a smiling man holding a baby, standing beside a proud wife, cutting a cake in a backyard. You would not see the hours I spent at work, the dinners I missed, the conversations I postponed because I was too tired or too distracted. I told myself I was sacrificing for my family. I told myself that one day, when things settled down, I would slow down and truly be present. That day kept moving further away. My father died when I was 36, a heart attack in his sleep. I remember standing beside his grave, thinking how strange it was that the strongest man I had ever known could be reduced to a wooden box in the ground. I also remember feeling a sharp regret that I had not visited more often. I had meant to. I had planned to. I had simply assumed there would be another season, another holiday, another chance. Time does not argue with you. It does not remind you. It simply moves. As my career grew, so did the distance between who I was and who I thought I would become. I achieved the position I had dreamed of. I had respect. I had financial stability. But at home, my son had begun to speak to me with a politeness that felt formal, almost like he was speaking to a teacher instead of a father. My daughter stopped asking me to attend her school events because she assumed I would be busy. I did not notice the shift as it was happening. That is one of the cruel truths about life. The most important changes are often quiet. Eleanor noticed. She would sit across from me at the dinner table and look at me as if she were searching for the young man she married. One night she said, very calmly, that she felt lonely in her own house. I was offended at first. I was providing. I was present, physically. But she was right. I had given my body to my family and my mind to my ambitions. It took me years to understand that success can be a thief. It steals the very moments you claim you are working for. When I was 52, I had a minor stroke. It was not severe, but it was enough to force me into a hospital bed for several days. Lying there, staring at the ceiling, I felt something I had not allowed myself to feel in decades. Fear. Not fear of death exactly, but fear that I had misunderstood the purpose of my life. Eleanor sat beside me every day. She held my hand the way she had when we were newly married. My son, now a grown man, stood awkwardly at the foot of the bed. My daughter cried quietly in the hallway because she did not want me to see her afraid. In that room, surrounded by the people I claimed to work so hard for, I realized how easily I could have left this world without truly knowing them. After I recovered, I promised myself I would change, and I did, but not perfectly. Change is not a switch you flip. It is a habit you build. I began coming home earlier. I listened more than I spoke. I asked my children about their lives, not as a formality, but with genuine curiosity. It was uncomfortable at first. I was not used to being emotionally open, but slowly the distance shortened. I retired at 65. For the first time since I was a teenager, my days were not scheduled by someone else. Eleanor and I began taking walks in the evenings. We talked about small things like the neighbors and the weather, and larger things like our fears and our regrets. There was a softness between us that had been buried under responsibility for years. Then, when I was 73, Eleanor was diagnosed with cancer. No amount of experience prepares you to watch the person who has shared your entire adult life begin to fade. I would sit beside her hospital bed and think about all the evenings I had stayed late at the office, all the weekends I had said, "Not now, maybe next week." I would have traded every achievement, every dollar, for one more ordinary afternoon with her in our kitchen. She passed away on a quiet morning in spring. The house we had filled with noise and conversation became painfully silent. For months, I would wake up expecting to hear her in the next room. Grief is not loud the way people imagine. It is heavy and constant, like carrying a weight you cannot set down. In the years after her death, I had a great deal of time to think. At 90, you attend more funerals than weddings. Friends disappear one by one. Each loss feels like another page torn from a book you are still trying to read. What I began to understand, slowly and without drama, is that life is not measured in achievements or even in years. It is measured in attention. Where you place your attention becomes your life. If your attention is always on what is next, you will miss what is now. And what is now is all you ever truly have. I look back at photographs sometimes. A young boy standing beside his brother in a field, a serious young man in a city suit, a father holding a child who is laughing at something outside the frame, an older couple sitting close together on a porch. In every image, I see someone who believed there was more time. You may be young as you listen to this. You may be in the middle of building something, chasing something, proving something. I will not tell you to abandon your ambitions. Work has dignity, responsibility matters, but I will tell you this, and I say it as a man who has outlived almost everyone he loved. Do not postpone love. Do not assume that apologies can always be made later, that visits can always be scheduled next month, that conversations can wait until you are less busy. The people in your life are not permanent fixtures. They are temporary gifts. If I could sit across from my younger self, I would not scold him. I would not tell him he was foolish. I would simply ask him to notice. Notice the way his wife laughs. Notice the way his children look at him when he walks into a room. Notice the way his parents are aging, even if it is slow and subtle. At 99, my world is small. I move carefully. I require help with simple things. Independence, which I once guarded fiercely, has softened into acceptance. But my mind is clear enough to see the pattern of my life, and that clarity is both a blessing and a burden. The blessing is understanding what truly mattered. The burden is knowing how easily I could have understood it sooner. This is not a dramatic warning. I am not here to frighten you. I am here because I can feel the edges of my own story, and I would like yours to be fuller than mine in the ways that count. One day, if you are fortunate, you will reach an age where the noise fades and the truth becomes simple. You will not care about titles. You will not replay your biggest professional victories. You will remember faces. You will remember the warmth of a hand in yours. You will remember whether you were kind when it was inconvenient, whether you listened when someone needed you, whether you showed up. I cannot go back and adjust the balance of my life. I cannot reclaim the hours I traded away, but you can decide, even today, where your attention will rest when you wake up tomorrow. If this truly is my last chance to warn you, then let it be this. Time is not something you manage, it is something you spend, and once it is spent, it does not return. When you leave this video and return to your day, there will be tasks waiting, messages to answer, goals to chase. Do them if you must, but before you sleep tonight, look at someone you love and give them your full attention, even if only for a few minutes. Speak honestly. Listen carefully. Let them feel that they matter more than whatever is calling you away. At 99, I do not regret the work I did. I regret the moments I overlooked, and if my voice reaches you in time, perhaps you will choose differently, not in grand gestures, but in small, daily acts of presence. That is all an old man can offer you now. Not perfection, not a formula, just the truth as I have lived it. I hope you hear it while there is still time.